this is what we're trying to accomplish, and this is showing the negative side of this other society, and this is and this is our hero. This is our hero who's going to go do America's bidding and go over there, and you're like, okay. And those movies are successful, and so they continue this relationship, and you become a bit of a propaganda arm.
You won't believe what just happened. Shannon Sharpe, NFL legend and podcast powerhouse, just settled a jaw-dropping $23 million lawsuit, and guess who's rushing in to defend him? That's right, Joe Rogan. The king of podcasting himself didn't hold back when people started piling on Shannon. Rogan went full throttle, not only standing by Shannon's side, but also calling out the media circus that exploded after the news broke. What's really going on behind the scenes? Is this about justice or jealousy? Buckle up, because Joe Rogan has a lot to say and he's not pulling punches.
What's more important to you, credibility or going viral? A lot of times, Cam, I don't even know. I didn't know it was going to go viral. A lot of these clips that go viral. I remember when I did Cam. I remember getting up and I turned back and I look at my cat, and I look at my producer and he's shaking his head. I'm like, oh man, we done messed up. So I'm like, what did I say?
Yeah.
Did I say something? He like, this is gonna be the talk of 24.
No.
The moment headlines started flashing with the words, Shannon Sharpe settles $23 million lawsuit, the internet exploded. Critics came crawling out of every corner trying to drag his name through the mud. Social media was flooded with people speculating, judging, and throwing out wild theories. But while everyone else was quick to point fingers, one man stood tall and spoke up: Joe Rogan. And what he said changed the whole tone of the conversation. On a brand new episode of his podcast, Joe didn't waste time. Within minutes, he addressed the elephant in the room. People love to kick someone when they're up, Rogan began, especially when that someone is succeeding beyond what anyone expected. Joe made it clear. This lawsuit wasn't some open and shut scandal. It was more complicated. And he wasn't about to let Shannon be torn apart for simply doing what anyone in his position might have done, settling to move on.
This is going to be viral for the whole year. I said, come on, man. I say, so I'm thinking at that point in time, Steve Harvey is my is my most viewed podcast. He's at 8 million. I said, you think we're going to beat Steve? He's like, yeah. I'm hoping for 10 million.
Yeah.
That's all. Cam, if I get 10 million, I'm like, that's a pretty good interview.
Yeah.
Think about how few people that's in this space that interview people that don't get 10 million.
For sure.
So if I get 10 million, that's one of the biggest podcasts. Now, that's not Joe Rogan's numbers, but that's pretty good for an up-and-coming podcast. Right. So I felt good.
According to reports, the lawsuit stemmed from a business deal gone wrong. Details were murky. Some claimed it was a breach of contract. Others speculated it had something to do with Sharpe's rapidly growing media empire. Whatever the case, Joe made one thing very clear. Settling doesn't mean guilty. It means you're tired of wasting time, money, and energy on something that isn't moving forward. Joe then drew from his own experience in the public eye. When you're famous and successful, lawsuits are just part of the game, he said. People will come after you not because you did something wrong, but because you're visible, you're a target. He explained how the moment you start to rise, people start to circle, waiting for a misstep. That $23 million figure, that's not just a number, it's bait for headlines, it's clickbait. Rogan pointed out something most people missed. Despite all the noise, Shannon didn't go silent. He didn't run. He handled it. Quietly, professionally, and without dragging the issue through the media. That, Joe said, is the mark of someone who's in control. And for Rogan, that's why Shannon Sharpe stands out, not just as a former football star, but as a rising media icon who's doing things on his own terms.
Shannon Sharpe said a lot of people started to hate on him because of, that interview going up like that.
But why would they hate on him?
Cause, niggas hate. When you start, man, that nigga did all that, how much?
I get it though, but it's the internet. Once you start doing good, they gonna fight against you.
Man, all you gotta do is sit back and wait. They gonna hate on, they hated on Jesus.
Man, they hated on Jesus.
They gonna hate.
They hate on my kids, they went viral. And they ain't did nothing.
See what I'm saying?
Nah, for real.
They gonna
Shannon's podcast club, Shay Shay, has become a phenomenon. From the viral Cat Williams interview to his candid talks with comedians, athletes, and entrepreneurs, Sharpe has built a space that thrives on honesty. And Joe Rogan sees that. He praised Shannon's approach, saying he lets his guests speak. He doesn't interrupt, he doesn't push his own narrative. That's rare. As the news of the settlement spread, Rogan also noticed a disturbing trend. Look at the timing, he said. Just when Shannon's show is breaking records, he's hit with this lawsuit drama. Coincidence? Maybe. But it smells like someone trying to slow him down. Joe wasn't alone in defending Sharpe. Other podcast hosts, media personalities, and even former NFL players echoed Rogan's sentiments. They described Shannon as disciplined, focused, and unshakable. And for good reason. He's been through worse. This was just another challenge.
Williams, Club Shay Shay, Shannon Sharpe.
Crushed the buildings.
He did.
10 million in a day. And counting, still going up.
10 million.
Oh my Lord.
Triple platinum off rip.
He did an interview, way to start the year. I don't know if it's an interview, conversation, whatever you want to call it. What a way to start the year.
I ain't get that. My opinion was I watched all these comedians get up there
And play with him.
and y'all been lying. You know what I'm saying? Because that was his thing. He's like, Shannon, you ain't called him to the carpet when he said this. You should have asked him. You know what I'm saying? I think he sat up there and saw all these people lying. And I'm gonna expose all of y'all for all of y'all bullshit.
Yo, when I watch it, I try to find a chink in the armor. I try to find
But Rogan's words hit differently because of who he is. He's seen it all. From UFC fights to media battles to his own controversies, Joe knows what it means to stand under fire. That's why his defense of Shannon wasn't just a casual shout out, it was a statement, a message to anyone watching. Just because the media throws a number at you doesn't mean you're guilty. And just because you settle doesn't mean you lose. Rogan then pivoted to something deeper. He talked about the double standards in entertainment. Some people can get away with anything, he said, while others get dragged for a settlement they didn't even want. He reminded listeners that reputation is fragile, and too many people love watching someone else's fall from grace, especially if they're rising fast. But Shannon isn't falling. In fact, according to Joe, this might make him stronger. This whole thing might be a blessing, he said, because now Shannon knows exactly who's with him and who's against him, and that's powerful.
People to be able to share their story without me interrupting. I think sometimes people in our position that do what you and I do, they want to hear their voice instead of the guest. Well, I can go home and hear myself talk if I wanted to, if that's what I wanted to hear. I think for the most part that people tune in to watch my pod because they want to hear what the guests have to say. I let the guests speak. Is that for some reason people come to me and I don't look at them with judgy eyes. I have no predetermined notion or preconceived notions, and they open up to me.
Right.
That's what they're upset about. Because if you look at a lot of these people that's been on other podcasts, they don't do the views that they do when they come on Club Shay Shay.
Correct. Because that's a testament to you and the environment or the atmosphere that you give.
Yes.
It's very comfortable. People want to render their story
right
in a way where, like you say, you let them talk.
Listeners across the world agreed. Fan comments poured in supporting Shannon. They praised his resilience, his honesty, and his ability to keep moving forward despite the noise. One fan wrote, $23 million? That's just the price of growth. Shannon's gonna triple that with his next contract. Another said, Joe Rogan defending Shannon is the realest thing I've seen all year. What struck a chord with many was Rogan's transparency. He didn't sugarcoat it. He acknowledged that lawsuits can be messy, expensive, and stressful, but he also made it clear that they don't define a person's character. The real question, Joe said, is how do you respond? Shannon responded with class. And that's what matters. Later in the podcast, Rogan reflected on how the digital age distorts accountability. In the court of public opinion, people are guilty before they even know the facts, he said. But facts still matter, and the fact is, Shannon's not out here hiding. He's still showing up, still building, still elevating others. Rogan then recalled how he met Shannon years ago and was struck by his discipline. This guy doesn't play around. He shows up early, he works hard, He asks good questions, he listens, and he's constantly trying to improve. For Joe, those traits separate the real ones from the noise.
0.7 million, 188K, 1.8 million, 1.9, 1.5, 3.1, 3.7 million. Woo!
Oh, Shannon Sharpe is thrilled right now. Trust me, this will not be the last great interview he has.
Yeah.
24.
Oh, this is
going to be a thing now.
No,
Yeah.
like I said, no, we joked about Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Shannon could come for the throne.
So I'm saying, man.
Yeah, he really could.
Right.
I'm rooting for Shannon.
I root for Shannon too.
I'd be happy to root for someone in this.
Watch that. But to go back, I think Shannon Sharpe's trajectory can go towards the Joe Rogan realm. It's just it's
so.
set up that
it's a different realm. I think Shannon has the potential to go bigger.
Whoa! I didn't even look.
I'm just looking at them as like they're just adding on to what's already a tremendous lane. That if you seize it, and they're making people like us, they're making the space more valuable. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah,
I think he does. He could be if he
Why
really
you say that?
Because he's polished. He doesn't. He can do any interview, but he has a way for him that I don't know if he has the Southern market loves him, like we love him.
He's a Southern motherfucker.
Yeah,
East
we love
Coast,
him. And
West Coast.
He can talk to most people. And Joe Rogan, he kind of just he has a wide range, but it's still like a little there's a lane that he made for himself.
And you know what I noticed about Shannon Sharpe though? Which when we have guests on, he don't give an opinion.
Yeah, that's the main
He
thing.
lets them guess.
Joe Rogan has opinions.
See, and when we get guests on, we're giving them the opinion.
The episode sparked even more discussion online. News outlets picked up Rogan's quotes. Social media threads debated his points. But one thing was clear, Joe's defense of Shannon shifted the conversation. Instead of focusing on the lawsuit, people started focusing on what Sharpe had accomplished despite it. More than that, Rogan made people rethink how they respond to headlines. He challenged his audience to stop jumping to conclusions. Just read between the lines, he said. Ask why now. Ask who benefits. And most of all, ask yourself, would I have done the same thing in Shannon's shoes? As the podcast closed out, Rogan offered one final thought. You don't tear someone down just because they hit a bump in the road. You look at their body of work, you look at how they show up after the storm, and Shannon, he's showing up stronger. The next day, Shannon dropped a new episode of Club Shay Shay. It wasn't about the lawsuit, it wasn't about the headlines, it was a deep, thoughtful conversation with a guest who'd overcome adversity. And in that quiet move, he reminded everyone why he's winning, not just because of views or money, but because he's consistent, he's authentic, he's resilient.
My podcast. It's a different lane.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Okay, you said you're right.
Interviews by podcasters. Joe Rogan got the #1 with 54 million.
Yeah, with the interviews, I can.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Joe Rogan is #1 with 54 million. He came out of nowhere and knocked somebody off that was number 33. He's 43 now. And I think he's going to get that 54 because that's been like that for a long time. And he doing it in like it's been 8 days.
I ain't know Joe Rogan was doing it.
Oh no, he the biggest. He was the first one I seen.
Ain't that Joe Rogan the one that made people eat the worms and stuff?
I don't know. He got $100 million dollars from. I want to see. Yeah, I think that was him. He got $100 million. The
host.
Yeah, that Joe Rogan.
He got $100 million, man. You know, he about the top one was, but Shannon Sharpe look like he about to try to come up and catch him.
Man, Shannon, I don't know if Shannon gonna catch Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan on the other end.
That's gonna be his biggest interview ever.
No, I'm saying,
which one?
Shannon Sharpe. Yeah,
hey, if Shannon Sharpe want to pass Joe Rogan, he gonna put on the dress.
So you believe that?
I believe he gonna have to put on the dress. He want to pass Joe Rogan.
Wow.
I don't think so.
If he want to pass Joe Rogan, that's the only way.
I don't think so.
Phew. Shannon Sharpe passed Joe Rogan on the interview. Come on, man. Say.
He ain't that far from it.
He ain't that far from it. I think he'll pass him on that interview.
I'm gonna lie to you, bro. I think that black people in the black culture need to start looking at Shannon Sharpe like the next motherfucking Joe Rogan. I think that Shannon Sharpe is that motherfucking dope and talented to where Spotify need to be calling this nigga up to give him that Joe Rogan deal. That's how good Shannon Sharpe is, bro. He can talk about anything. You see him on this nightcap show. This man is just, he ain't no dummy. That motherfucker smart as a motherfucker. Same thing about Cat Williams. But yeah, Shannon Sharpe, bro. Shannon Sharpe, I love what he's doing. I can't wait to see his next step and where that's going to take him. I think he could be like a Joe Rogan.
And Joe Rogan, he wasn't done yet. In the following week's episode, Joe doubled down. He brought on a legal expert to explain how high-profile settlements work. The guest explained that many celebrities settle not because they're wrong, but because it's faster, cheaper, and less damaging than going to court. When you're in the spotlight, the expert said, sometimes the best move is to close the door, pay the fee, and keep moving. Joe nodded in agreement. Exactly, he said. And that's what Shannon did. He took care of business. Now he's back to doing what he does best, winning hearts and minds. The truth is, Rogan's defense of Shannon wasn't just about this one case. It was about standing up for fairness, about pushing back against cancel culture, trial by media, and the idea that one lawsuit should cancel out a lifetime of hard work.
Shannon Sharpe, though. Club Shay Shay be cooking.
He is cooking, man.
Club Shay Shay, he's fucking cooking. Like Club Shay Shay, the motherfuckers be going on there wilding, saying all types of shit. I mean, like I said, I don't think Cat Williams is lying.
But
I don't think it's a but. I think them some wild ass boys in fucking Hollywood.
No, they're wild boys.
And I think when you got that kind of power and you got that kind of money, you probably say shit like that. You know what I mean? Like I don't, I still don't know why he would want to suck a dick.
That's the crazy thing to me.
Yeah, and you have the ability to change somebody's situation. Why would you be sucking the dick?
Yeah.
That's what makes it even wilder. But maybe you're a comedian. Cat's a comedian.
So
that's a better bit.
It is a way better bit.
That's a better bit.
It is a better bit.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if he was to say, Harvey asked me to do X, Y, and Z, we expect that.
He says something funny afterwards. He said, hell no, I didn't do that shit. Now I got to the table read, and there were two other black dudes there, and I was like, well, how the fuck y'all get into this movie?
It reminded people that success isn't a straight line. It's full of curves, bumps, and storms. And how you navigate those storms says more about you than the storm itself. For Shannon Sharpe, this lawsuit wasn't the end. It wasn't even the middle. It was just a moment. And with allies like Joe Rogan, that moment has now become a symbol of resilience. So where does Shannon go from here? According to Rogan, up, always up. And judging by the reaction from fans, fellow podcasters, and the entire sports and entertainment world, it looks like he's right. Club Shay Shay isn't slowing down, Shannon Sharpe isn't backing off, and Joe Rogan, he's made it clear when the noise gets loud, he's not afraid to speak truth. Because when greatness gets tested, real ones rise, and in this story, both Joe and Shannon just rose to the top.